It's the city of brotherly love. But there's no love lost between these Atlantic rivals. Philly's tasted greatness, but never reached the top. With 2019 in their rear view, they're ready to make history at home. The sea of young stars looks to slow down the hometown heroes. The sharpshooter Saya player faces off versus hit scan legend Carpe.
As the threat starts to get messy, cover your eyes if you scream it.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Oh, somebody stop this guy!
And the Outlaws look to avenge an overtime upset.
Houston Outlaws struggling to make it happen. The Washington Justice win it in 5. 3-2 victory over the Houston Outlaws.
Week 1 kicked off with a bang. But now it's Philly's turn to bring the fireworks. Live from Broad Street, it's the battle of brotherly love.
What's up, Philadelphia? That's right, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Met Live, right here in Philadelphia, baby. I couldn't be more excited to be here with you all, and man, I tell you, what a day we had yesterday. Wasn't that amazing? But it looks like today is just going to be equally as incredible. We have a little bit of a buffer match before we get to see your Philadelphia Fusion. And you best believe that it's going to be a good one, folks. And then later on, we get the Florida Mayhem. Ooh. Taking on the Philadelphia Fusion. Well, let's have a good time, folks. This is it. And if you're watching at home, you're missing out because we're having the greatest time possible. But for now, let's send it over to your casters. Let's give them some love. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy. It is good to be back here in the second day of the Battle of Brotherly Love. I am Achilles, joined as always by Wolf, and we are ready to get down to brass tacks and have some solid matches here today. I hope you all behind us are ready as well. First, though, let's go ahead and take a look at what happened yesterday. Of course, we did see Fusion take that first victory here in front of this home crowd. But before that, Florida Mayhem, Fusion's new opponent today, were able to sweep the Houston Outlaws 3-0. Now to start things off, we have the Washington Justice, who fell to the Fusion, taking on the Outlaws. I think that this is looking like a bit of a one-sided matchup. We saw the analysts' predictions, and they all seem to think that Justice can take it.
It looks like it's going to be a one-sided affair based on what we saw yesterday. The Outlaws had little to no chance against Florida. Obviously, later on, Florida will face Philadelphia Fusion. I think that one could go either way. It's going to be perhaps our closest match here of the weekend.
I mean, that's boldly stated as well after what we saw from Justice and Fusion just yesterday. Even the 3-1 scoreline, not quite telling the full story there. But the 3-0 doesn't really tell the full story either for Mayhem versus Houston. Some of those maps were very much down to the wire. Taking a look, however, at some of those highlights that we saw from yesterday, Houston just weren't able to get across that finish line. Got ever so close, especially on Havana.
It's hard when you have this back-to-back schedule as well here, where you have a tough loss, your 0-3's first match of the season, and then you go into a secondary match just the next day. It's a tough schedule. It's hard to adjust. You know, Harsha spoke on Twitter about how he felt like it was him to blame for the strategies they used and why they ended up falling down 0-3 in that first set. It's a tough wall they have to climb to take that win today against a team that's clearly got the advantage in the Washington Justice.
I mean, is it the strategies? Is it going to be a roster change, perhaps, that is the alteration here for the Houston Outlaws to try and find an advantage to try to get that victory? We did see Blase and Hydration starting, so no sign of Dante, no sign of Linkser yet.
That's right. I mean, we talk about the DPS duo of the Houston Outlaws. They really struggled in part due to the fact that Raucus wasn't able to give the same sort of support that Chris did in the Brigida duo there, because you know that right now the way these two teams played yesterday, with how the McCree works, you get that extra armor, it's all about that extra protection, and Raucus just underperformed compared to Chris, and that made it much easier for Saya player and BQB to lead that DPS charge. So Blase and Hydration, you know, if they start today, they have big shoes to fill again here against a tough DPS in Corey. And I mean, that's going to be, I think, what potentially defines this series is, does Raucus run it again, the Brigida? Do they try to duel against Corey? Do they change it up? Because running the exact same thing, trying to mirror again, I think is a bad look for the Outlaws going into this series.
Well, of course, that DPS duo for the Outlaws isn't the only new faces that we had on some of these teams. Aim God made his debut yesterday on the Washington Justice, and overall looked quite solid for them after his short stint on the Boston Uprising, then benching, and now here on Justice. Overall, a very solid performance for him on the Ana, something that he's very well versed with.
Yeah, I mean, since his time in Contenders Korea, he's been a very good Ana player. He was stuck on Boston last season, so looked a little bit weaker, overall, in the thick of things. When you look at Boston's record last season, you wonder how good is Aim God really? Looks like the Justice are having a better season, or at least from the outset, looks like they will have a better season they did last season. I think Aim God could shine a lot more.
And we had talked about it after that match. During that match, Elivote, one of the newest faces, does not have that backup main tank of Lulcich coming through yet, but had some hot and cold moments overall.
I feel like Elivote, he certainly showcased his incredible skill at peeling and also controlling high and low ground, but his over-aggressive tendencies sometimes got the better of him. He ended up getting caught and picked, and once the Fusion started to understand how he was moving around, trying to zone out Carpe, helping get Corey that high ground, they punished him, and he often got caught alone and was isolated. So that's something I think the Houston Outlaws definitely should have picked up on and should be zoning in on going into their match today.
All right, well, I mean, relatively speaking, obviously we had a decently long off-season, but these guys have squared off against each other fairly recently. Stage 4 went all the way to Game 5, and Washington Justice were able to take down the Houston Outlaws. So maybe a bit of spite, some vengeance wanting to be snagged here for the Houston Outlaws. The question is, can they do it today? Because the Justice just looks a lot scarier than they did even in just the last season.
I mean, it was a great matchup between these two. We saw at the end, we got to see a lot of Hanzo, and Linkser was on the roster, Dante was on the roster, those players missing from the starting lineup of Houston now, and you have to wonder, is that the right choice, especially going against such a great DPS duo in Corey and Stratus. I don't think this matchup, at least on paper, is going to be as close. Remember, that was peak Justice too, that struggled against Houston at the end of Stage 4, and I think that Houston, right now, comparatively, there's going to have to be some changes, or we may just see another 3-0 here.
Well, we'll have to see what happens. Will it be revenge, or will we have a win streak amassing for the Justice? We're going to find out as we go ahead and bring them out on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Washington Justice.
Washington Justice, one of the most positive teams in their short history in the Overwatch League. The Stratus and Corey, the ones who lead the charge in that regard, booed yesterday by this crowd against the home team, still held up their guard, kept themselves in a tight race to the finish. They fell short in the end. Corey tweeted this morning, "It's a new day, it's a new me." And we'll see if that holds true here as we see the same starting 6 take the stage, and they come in as massive favorites in this first series this evening.
I mean, that seems to be one of the biggest assets that the Washington Justice have, is that positivity that they can maintain across losses. We saw the streak that had happened just last year, and they were still able to be all smiles. Let's see that if they're going to be the same way at the end of this series. Let's go ahead and bring out their opponents. Please welcome the Houston Outlaws.
A big fan favorite. The Houston Outlaws are in their 3rd season of the Overwatch League, and it's been disappointment after disappointment. One of the biggest fan bases in the Overwatch League, but also one of the most critical, and that's definitely something that can get into your head. It's your 2nd series of the league here in 2020. Same starting 6 with the exception of Repel. They'll be coming in over Raucus here. And this is a roster that looks drastically different than what we've seen from the Houston Outlaws throughout the years. Mostly a Western roster with the exception of Arhan. We come in today with 3 star-studded Koreans, Meko, Repel, and Jexay. And bringing in, Repel here over Raucus may be just what they need to help that DPS line duel against Corey and Stratus.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, you can see him right there. Stratus trying to get Corey's attention on stage, but these guys have certainly made a name for themselves. Corey in particular, the first one to really pop off on the side of the Washington Justice. But ever since that moment in Atlanta, Stratus destroying on Ilios with a Doomfist, getting the 5K to turn the map on its head and take that one home. These guys have been just absolutely stellar. And of course, shout out to Corey, hometown of Philadelphia.
Look at the ranks here when you look at stage 4 for Corey. He's first in a large number of these metrics. Solo kills, one of the things he was most known for. Despite his team losing team fights, losing in rotations, he was able to bring it back sometimes solo on Widowmaker, Hanzo, getting those solo kills, breaking through. We saw Washington Justice, after an almost winless first 3 stages, nearly get that perfect stage in stage 4, and Corey and Stratus, they're the ones to bring it back.
Well, taking a look at our map set, we will be going to Lijiang Tower, then Junkertown. So that will build some excitement for potential Widowmaker battles. We don't have Linkser in the game yet, but definitely could see him subbed in for that second map. And then we'll move on to King's Row and see if we have to go further than that. I am certainly hoping so. I don't want a short series. I know you guys want to get the fusion, but I'm all about the tension. I'm all about the game 5s. And we'll see if we can have that here to start off the day.
Yep. Symmetra is locked in to start here. It's another map like Village on Nepal, where the control point itself is very small, and controlling it first with a hero like Symmetra and like Zarya in the past with Goat's compositions, getting that first control if you're going to commit to the Symmetra is oh so important. It's much safer to run the McCree and the poke damage. Let's see if they commit after teleports. It's going to be Blase on the Symmetra. Corey, though, will go with the McCree option. He'll be joining a little bit later, but that's what he wants at range.
We'll be sticking through with it. We saw this just yesterday. Set up on Nepal, so we'll be sticking through. Lijiang Tower has been a lot more popular for that Symmetra, and already Roar loses out on that shield. The rest of them cut off by the May walls. He gets taken down. Hydration finds the headshot onto Stratus, and that is going to be the first point lockdown for the Houston Outlaws.
Now think about how difficult it's going to be for Corey and Stratus to chip their way in here, even with a D.Va on their side. They have to go around all of these walls and the shields, the double barriers, and then when they get through, they're going to be facing Blase, who can charge up very quickly, including on the May wall if used to try to lock off. Stratus is swapping away from the May as a result. We'll be trying to go for opening burst picks with the Doomfist, but that Blizzard is almost ready for hydration.
They're pushing their way forward. That's going to be the Nana who's tossed in onto Roar, trying to keep it alive already. Though the turn's going to be claiming Blase's life. The Immortality Field keep the Houston Outlaws alive for a considerable amount of time. Ellie-Goat's going to be knocked out of the mech. Really have the Shatter built up here on the side of Roar, but will be taken out by Hydration, who's still going to be holding on to that Blizzard. So no ult's really going to have to be used by the Outlaws outside of the Symmetra wall.
More than a fourth of his team's damage and leading the server, Blase, in such a great spot to set up that photon barrier, which further limits what Corey can do. He's only just now going to get his first Deadeye online, and it's going to be so difficult to use it without a massive flank. You can see there's a teleporter also set up here for the Houston Outlaws to rotate if need be. They see Stratus, they know he's trying to come from this angle. Maybe they don't.
Playing up, gets the punch, uppercut, takes out Jekse. Yeah, just weren't ready for that one. Mortality Field doesn't come through fast enough either. Perfectly timed, Stratus gets the punch onto Hydration, knocking him as soon as he comes out of that ice block. They will get the pin, but he takes a quick leap over to the side. Stratus will survive. And that will be the flip coming back through. 73% on the board for Houston.
Blase had a teleporter on that approach angle for Stratus, and it looked like he was checking corners, but he must have just barely missed it. And that's all it takes. You get caught in your blind spot. Stratus picks up 2 kills. Houston Outlaws use 3 ults in the fight and still come up empty. You see Blase swapping over now to the McCree to help deal with that Doomfist. The stun of the flashbang is going to be so useful in stopping those flanks.
Sleep onto Hydration. So now they don't have the May wall to help escort, so that is just going to be delaying them further. So get a bit of damage through. So ice block as well going to be forced out. The punch comes through. Supercharger going to be laid down. Now we'll see the sound barrier drawn out. Stratus goes into the back, manages to find Blase. Are going to take it down, but Stratus finds another one. But he might need to do some more work. Drops down with the Meteor Strike. He's looking for a punch target, but the shielding is just so huge on the side of the Outlaws. Ellie-Goat, with that self-destruct, manages to find Meko, but cannot make it back into the suit. Will be taken down by Muma. Stratus still under fire. Will be finished off. Even with a sliver of HP, seems like he might just be able to survive in the backside of the point. The flip just now getting ready to come through. Justice trying to delay as best as they can, as Roar will be taken down off screen. Mark buys a little bit of time, but Jekse is hot on his heels, manages to finish off that enemy Lucio, as Corey gets the nano boost here onto the point. Has to roll out, it's down to half HP, gets jumped on by the D.Va. The Rockets will be able to finish him off despite the flashbang coming in. Justice still, however, have bought a considerable amount of time on this point. They're getting ready to match. Shatter comes in, Roar drops the hammer, manages to find 3. The Bionate thrown in onto the tanks. Ruma gonna be the first one to fall, they lose out on the Aim God. Now it's all on Arc to keep his teammates alive. Roar getting juggled around, down to 100 health. Heights back, and they are still maintaining control. I cannot believe it. Justice, they hold out.
And Roar, what a redemption story after a mediocre performance yesterday. Most are pointing at him to be the weak link. giving Sato so much space in a lot of those tank matchups. He comes up big with a shatter, takes a risk, it pays off.
Fantastically done. Maywall going to be coming through the block off the Deadeye. He tries to get around the side and finds two! Oh my goodness, Outlaws peeked out around the corner just a bit too early. Taken down as Arc gets the kill on Namuma as well. Electric Cowboy to seal the deal as we are at 99% for this first round. Flashbangs through, both exchange those. Can't quite get the hits in, but we'll be able to finish it off as the OT bleeds away. Justice start up 1-0.
Corey with the double on the Deadeye is what allows him to guarantee that finish. They would have had one more fight otherwise, but it's realistically a mistake in terms of the coordination between Meko and the Mei there. The D.Va absorption there, the defense matrix has to be used not in tandem with, but actually alternated with the Mei wall to get maximum block out of an incoming Deadeye. And you can see Corey had the skulls there. As soon as the wall dropped and Meko was out of defense matrix, he popped 2 kills. He threaded the needle there, but that's all it takes is just that one moment of vulnerability. And Corey's one of those players who will hold the Deadeye longer than most McCrees. You know, we talked about it a lot yesterday. He always looks for that chance. He is successful this time. Now it's going to be Mei, McCree, a much more open point, so less value for the Symmetra.
Yeah, we'll just have the exact mirror match coming through from both of these squads. No sim, as you say. Both going to be trying to high ground, has to zip down, however. Get topped back up, going to get some damage. They take Meko lower and lower, but we'll be fueling those support ultimates here for the Outlaws as Repel gets up to about 60% towards that Nano. Muma going to be stunned up, taken down. They find the kill, and that is going to be Meko getting knocked out here as well. So Houston Outlaws going to have to surrender this first point.
It's a fantastic wall for Stratus there. Locks Muma in, not only utilizing the wall, but also the terrain of the map, the tower in the center and that wall that's part of the map itself. So we kind of created almost a triangle section there where Muma couldn't get out, and the follow-up CC was there from Roar. There's just no way for Muma to get out, so that's the opening pick you want. Muma actually leads in terms of ult charge, but he's stuck isolated and dies first.
Pushing their way back off. Nano Boost going to be invested. Maywall will cut off the pin. So really good time by here for the Houston Outlaws. Just going to be letting that Nano drain away and then go for the reapproach. So one ult down. And now Nano going to be used. Stratus gets the Blizzard taken away. A very nice eat from Meko. Muma pushing around the corner. Not quite topped up, drops the hammer, but it goes straight into the shield. Maybe he was going to be able to get Elivote there, but could not find it. Justice, however, are still playing on the back foot. Elivote cut off, will get knocked out of the back. Flashbang goes in, but Corey can't line up the headshot to get rid of hydration. He will be able to stay alive for a little bit longer, but the point is still in control of the Justice. Lula goes for the pin, doesn't find anything, wall comes up, Roar gets cut off. His way out, but still under fire, will get taken down.
The Justice sticking around too long. They didn't have the ultimates they needed to get a flip like what we saw just previously on the last round. And actually stayed so long that Elivote nearly got killed there on his attempted remake. Does get the remake off though, but Outlaws control the choke and they have Blizzard here, so it's so difficult. Corey somehow escapes notice though, goes around the back here. He doesn't have enough for a Deadeye, but he will in a few shots.
Well, now they know exactly where he is. Didn't quite get the double tap that he was looking for there onto Jexek. Nano Boost is going to be tossed in. Deadeye's out from Blase, which forces Roar to raise his shield. Corey, however, going to be fighting Repel just moments before the sound barrier comes through for the rest of the Houston Outlaws. Roar pushing up, has the shatter, waiting for his moment. Deadeye in the back from Corey, applying some covering fire. It's a tag onto Meko. Will be using that self-destruct, drop straight in on top of the Mei wall, and everybody's split away from the Blizzard. Flip not through yet for Justice, but it's still looking pretty damn good. Corey rolls back, gets the mini pack. Helps pop out that baby D.Va, and that will be the finish coming through as the flip will be coming in momentarily.
Nice.
Justice back in control just barely after Outlaws take the lead.
Nice rotation from the Justice, kind of catching the Outlaws a little bit off guard. Corey's flank distracting them, and I believe Blase actually interrupted Arc's sound barrier mid-cast with a flashbang, but it just doesn't matter. He didn't need it. They were already too far gone. Nice wall here to try to give them some space.
Very aggressive play here for the Washington Justice. They'll start cutting their way back. They have this defense matrix to try to keep them protected. Nano Boost is on the Muma for the moment. Will be expiring soon, and answering goes out onto Roar. Elivote poking from the side, has the self-destruct, just waiting for a moment. Try to line up for the big bomb. Deadeye comes through. Outlaws playing it safe for this time. Will just be canceled by Corey as he starts duking it out with Blase off screen.
A losing battle Now the control to the Outlaws here as they sweep onto the point.
Bombs coming up straight over the top. Shield gonna have to be raised by Muma. The barrier now destroyed. Gets a Bionade, but melted down. Answering bio out from AimGod. Does finish him off. The flashbang finds hydration. Now Jexen gonna be gone. The 3 members dead. Washington Justice looking like they're gonna be able to secure this point. As soon as OT can bleed away. Blizzard thrown down after they get the freeze. The pin there onto the enemy McCree. They've been cleared off. They've been routed. And Muma with a shadow. There's nothing he can do. A 2-0 start on Lijiang Tower for the Washington Justice.
Close but no cigar, a fitting way to describe Houston Outlaws' failure to find value on the McCree. Could be 2 series in a row where they are outclassed by Star DPS on the other side. Corey's flanks cutting the team in half and setting up great engages for the Justice. Leads them to a first map win.
Yep, excellent stuff here from both Stratus and Corey. Some solid moments overall for the Outlaws, but gonna need to piece more together if they want to climb back into this series. So starting 1 down, we'll see if they can tie us up when we come back to the next map.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
This has been written in the scriptures, and now we're going to see the pinnacle.
Washington is looking really good, looking towards the future. Houston trying to build some blocks for next year as well, but this Washington team...
Even higher, he's gonna come right over the top. Corey! And he's already off to a great start. 2 kills for him.
Bruh, moment if I've ever seen one.
Oh, get wrecked!
Who's got the lead? Check the scoreboard.
Green on the left side of the kill feed. The Outlaws picking up kill after kill on the cleanup. Corey is the carry. Like, that is just what's happened for this team. When they need it the most, he comes up absolutely clutch.
And the Washington Justice win it in 5. 3-2 victory over the Houston Outlaws. They put up one hell of a fight.
A glimpse into the past. Moment there from stage 4 as Stratus shows off his socks. I mean, we are here in the city of brotherly love, and there's not a better example of brotherly love, I think, than that between Corey and Stratus.
I would tend to agree, and you know, this is a duo that has more chemistry, I think, than any other duo we've seen, at least in terms of on-camera presence and how they work together as a DPS unit. And we're just seeing struggles on the other side with the Houston Outlaws in terms of that McCree matchup, you know? And Corey's one of those players who you give him a hit stand hero, you give him a meta he can play in, he will excel. Raucus will substitute in for Repel. And that leads us to question, will we see more of that Brigida armor pack strategy that we saw from the Outlaws yesterday? They fell short in their match against Florida in the mirror. We haven't seen the Justice run the Brigida just yet, so let's see if the Outlaws can transform Junkertown into their map with this substitution.
Well, Junkertown, mentioned before, perhaps we would see Linkser come through for the Widowmaker, but not to be. Which means that it could be a bit worrisome if Corey feels open to go for the Widowmaker. Very hard to respond against that.
Especially when you're running, I mean, look, it's tough to run double shield tank against Widowmaker on this map because there's so many different sight lines. Corey has so many high grounds to work with if he decides to go for that hero. So oftentimes you see, especially on maps like King's Row, the double shield makes it difficult to run the Widowmaker. In this case, once they scout the composition the Outlaws are running, may certainly consider it, because Raucus will be on the Ana here, not the Brigida, so won't have that extra barrier. Blase will not have the armor pack as well to keep him alive, so we may see big swaps here for the Justice once they scout this composition out. Corey will start the sim for now. And no port, just gonna swap. Looks like, oh, I'm wrong about that. They are porting.
Yep, drop down. Stratus very aggressive, force out the ice block already. Corey will just be taking those pot shots. Nearly got Meko desuited. Providing covering fire here for his team as they start advancing the cart. Already Muma getting desperate, goes in for the pin. Will be an exchange of both Reinhardts as they fall down, but now nothing to stand behind. Blase left exposed. This block again going to be burned by hydration. Has to get the wall up and try to keep himself alive and just keep taking shot after shot. Arc will be taken out. Corey finds a headshot, gets another one as Meko gets popped out.
It was such a great response from the Outlaws too. But now they're gonna lose control. Corey gets that kill, and that's all it takes for the Outlaws. They dealt with the teleport well. They responded quickly. They saw the swap to the Widow. They retreated into that room where they had less line of sight. We saw Muma struggle, but then get a trade. But as soon as he's down and the shield is gone, Corey finds heads. He takes out hydration, and that opens everything back up. The Houston Outlaws deciding whether they want to contest A. Very risky business. If you fail here, you give Corey bigger line of sight on the high ground. It's often better to just simply let A go. They're going to contest.
And they do drop down. It's moved by himself. Also together, hydration. Trying to freeze everybody in his sight. They have the D.Va around the back, but they're supporting fire, and Meko's already going to be desuited. Blase himself finished off. Corey gets the nice quick scope in there onto Meko.
And a pretty questionable contest. We've seen this since the history of Junkertown. Contesting A, if it fails like this, you give ult charge. But now look at where Corey stands. He is staring down the barrel of the opening where the Outlaws have to come into. So they're all in line of sight. There's so much poke.
Hello.
And look at where Corey stands. He's just saying, okay, I know exactly what they're doing. I know what they've swapped to, and I can take some pot shots while the cart rolls for free because they contested A. They got nothing for the contest.
Poison trap for some added damage and vision. Arc bringing up the cart by himself here for the moment. Meko trying to contest him where possible. Gets the move back. Body shot just been coming in. Corey constantly repositioning. Sign of a veteran Widowmaker. Never takes two shots from the same location. The Blizzard called in by Stratus. He'll get pulled back through by Elliot, ensuring that he gets frozen. Stratus follows up for the icicle to the skull. We're going to be eliminated. No chance to use that Earth Shatter, and it seems like this very well might just be the card basically gliding all the way to B without halting. They get a couple stops on it. Meko going to be booped away. Sound barrier committed. Sprays down Raucus with a left click. Tries to get the shot there on the Jexay. The shields bleed away. Now everyone is that much more vulnerable on the side of the Houston Outlaws. Backed into the corner, trying to just keep that cart from moving. Stratus dropping down. They get the Hulk, gets the hit over to the side on a hydration, tries to finish him off. He makes it with the ice block just in time, but already two going to be gone. Blase finally finds Corey, but they get the cleanup, and yet again, it's nearly 5 minutes in the time bank for the Justice to push.
But I think this was honestly best case scenario for the Outlaws. They were almost at ult economy checkmate because they were always going to find themselves behind. Jexay tosses in the sound barrier, and that's all they really use there to hold on to that point. That was the biggest ultimate they committed. They have an ult advantage. They forced the Justice to use ults, and they lost a little bit of time. It's still a bad situation here for the Outlaws, don't get me wrong, but I think that might have been best case scenario. Here comes the lift. Stratus tries to get on the high ground here, and Outlaws will control that.
Yep, they get the halt off. So secure the high ground for themselves.
Okay, Corey
sees Jexay, but wants to get rid of that May, and he's got the shot. Hydration says goodbye. Sleep Dart will greet Corey, however. But unless they can get that Diva over to finish him off, but never mind, it's going to be Blase doing the work with an arrow. They do manage to alleviate some pressure, but the cart is still starting to push forward. Shatter going to be dropped out. Manages just to find Raucus, but still a prime target. They get rid of that Ana as they escort their way forward with the help of that Immortality barrier. Self-destruct going to be Forest barrier coming through now from Ellie-Boat. Helps block that one out. Checks they taken down. Cart held for the moment by Hydration alone, but Outlaws are still just not able to bleed enough time off this clock.
Yeah, they're just trying to buy time, but they're not going to win any fights this way. They're just looking to deplete the time bank. And the Justice are just peeling them apart.
Yep, it's one after the other, consistently moving forward. The freeze coming through around the back. Blase going to be taken down now. Stratus forced into that ice block, will be okay. Corey going to be eliminated again. So, decent attention being paid to the Widowmaker now, but it's costing them in the front lines where the cart continues to roll. Yep, field thrown out. Just burning through them as Jexay barely escapes with a sliver of HP. He's nearly got that sound barrier online, 6% left to go. Desperately needs that. They want to try to buy enough time. Builds it up, throws it down. Neko gets the shielding for the moment. Gets his way back around the side. Wrecking ball comes through from Muma, rolling his way in. Pile driver down, but the sound barrier greets them. Keeping the members of the Washington Justice safe as Roar wakes up from his nap and nearly has a shatter. Trying to put them across this finish line. Talker's gone down. Neko. Blizzard comes through, but they need a miracle to try to make this one happen. Hammer gets dropped. Jexay knocked to the ground. They don't finish him off right away. It's only a matter of time, it would seem. Started off with 5 minutes for the final stretch. They finished with 2:32. A very strong showing from Justice so far on Dunkertown.
It's a cautionary tale about the risks of taking that A contest when you are in such a bad spot, ult economy wise. You find yourself losing B instantly. You find yourself with a massive time bank against you. They took several 4v6 fights. They lost to deplete that time bank, but there was no way for a hold to happen.
Yep, just a rough spot to be in. Corey given way too much room with that Widowmaker, and by the time they locked him down, the damage had already been done. That's one half of Junkertown gone. We'll see the rest when we come back. Well, the Houston Outlaws, I hope you guys can join us at their homestand. That's going to be coming up on the 28th and the 29th of February live. We have so many star-studded players that are going to be there. Raucus, Jonak, Sapiobi, Baby Bay, Dogman, and more will be there live throwing down for some games. So make sure you guys head over to the website and get your tickets pronto. They won't last very long.
Certainly not.
Maybe like the Houston Outlaws in this series, but that is yet to be decided.
I mean, the playstyle of the Outlaws around Corey's flanks, whether it's on the McCree, the Widow, or even the Tracer we saw yesterday on King's Row, it's almost like picking apart a crab or peeling a shrimp. I mean, it's a surround style, but they force people out of position. Raucus got caught alone and is solo shattered, and Aurora and the Justice are not afraid to solo shatter Raucus to remove half the healing, to then collapse on another player that's caught out. And from that moment on, it's just the Houston Outlaws fighting 3v6, 4v6 fights that they felt compelled to take because they had no ultimates. They didn't want to group up and try to take an ult fight because they couldn't. They just were crashing into the point saying, hey, we might get 90 seconds off the clock here. That's our best option. It will be Corey starting the Widow here on defense. And there's, again, as I mentioned before, so many different sightlines he can take and high grounds he can approach from. And Blase is just going to try to match him on McCree. That's a bad matchup at the beginning of this map without support.
Yeah, having Corey starting with the Widowmaker, this is where you really just wish that you could have Lynx or fielded at the moment, but it's winter time. And I know a couple people are feeling a bit under the weather. Corey getting jumped on, Jexay doing his damnedest to try and force that Widow out of position, and he is able to do so. Much to his credit, the Bionade connects onto Rory and Ellie both, so forces them to back up. Barrier as well, gonna be broken now. Fire Strike goes through, Muma also falling extremely low, will be able to survive. Raucus keeping him topped up. Fire Strike goes through, and this will be Washington Justice surrendering a decent amount of ground.
They're gonna try to back off, stay together. Corey can now try to hide his position before he goes for another flank. He's staying straight up main right now, and he can break off in just a moment here once they pass underneath this underpass. You can see in terms of damage, Blase, 28% of his ult, barely doing anything.
Oh, Nano gonna get tossed in.
And they just disengage.
Sure, he doesn't get frozen, tries to go in for the pin, unable to find anything, now getting tagged up. Shield gets raced back through. Bolted together are the members of the Houston Outlaws. Puma gonna be dropping that shatter, but the Orisa barrier was there to greet it. Blocks it out, Corey starts finding shots. Blase gonna be taken down first and foremost as the Fire Strike comes through, and Muma will fall. Corey's going to be looking for a little bit more as Roar will take a nice little nap.
It's such a great disengage we just saw from the Washington Justice there. When the Nano came through, they split away, as we see the delay here.
That's actually very reasonable with them.
But the awesome thing about it is Justice just avoid the Nano, they back off, they say, Muma, if you commit, he's got to commit. If you commit, you're just going to get picked off yourself, and then we're going to have a 6v5 fight. We can collapse in just like they've been doing all day. They draw that Blizzard, and they get a great reset. They have this control of the center once more, and Corey's at a very safe distance back here. There's no way Blase can match at that range. It's impossible.
At least the nice thing here for the Houston Outlaws, they have this Blizzard that they're using now. There's no D.Va on the side of the Washington Justice, but there is a shatter. Gets dropped in. Hydration and Blase both falling low. Rock is going to be taken down for the sound barrier. He comes in to keep the rest of the members alive. Now Arc going to be matching as Ellie both gets eliminated. Supercharger still out empowering the members of the Washington Justice, however. Corey's got the walls rolling. Looking for some more targets, and Muma will fall. There's nothing over there to grapple onto. They don't get onto this water barrel now.
It's just buying time right now against the Outlaws here.
Yep.
And Muma's got a long way to run back. This card is under full control of the Justice. Only Roar was frozen by Hydration's Blizzard, and he still got the shatter off. He still got that impact. They traded ults in favor of the Justice once again. And Corey can't be contested. Again, at this range from Blase, Blase's not a Widow player, so he can't swap.
Anabu's going to be coming out onto both of the Reinhardts. Bionade through, and Muma already frozen up. Looking for the pin. Nice boot back. Nexay saves his life. Echo going to be taken down, though, by Corey. Tries to get the self-destruct kill. Unable to find anything. And Muma will just get cleaned up. A 3 for 2. Justice still maintaining control as we dip below a minute. Houston Outlaws, reminder, have to go all the way to the end of the map.
This is,
they want to have a chance to win it.
Dire straits here for the Outlaws. Blase is just getting totally outclassed in terms of damage output here. Washington Justice is going to keep operating the same way. Corey does reposition to the high ground.
Push their way out, trying to get behind the cart. Muma still under. A lot of duress, however. Slowly will get topped back up. Shatter online for both of the Rhines. We'll see who pulls the trigger first. Muma cut off for the moment. Nano comes through. As that freeze comes down, they go ahead. Not Nano, rather, the Shatter. Drops the hammer, but Corey and Roar are going to be taken down. Blase finally breaking through. Gets rid of one. Boat dangerously low, should get knocked out of that mech as well, so now they don't have the mitigation of the defense matrix. They finish off Arc, and it seems like Outlaws can finally push through, and they don't have to use any ultimates to do so.
They have to hold
It's a very
them.
clean fight.
They have to hold them. Already, this is looking like a really bad situation for them in terms of time bank.
They're ready to drop down.
They're going to drop, and look at the positioning of Aim God.
In the minute to find one, but Roar, the first one to drop, will be eliminated, so they do still manage to roll through.
It's not a full commitment to the drop, and they still get to keep the high ground. They don't commit all the way like the Outlaws did. They wanted to trade some ultimates here, but they realize, okay, this isn't going to work. This is not going to be successful for us. So they're just going to slow this cart down and try to get Corey back into the back lines. And so far, he's successful. He's out-rotating Blase.
He spots him. Blase's in behind, but can't quite get a beat on Corey to take him out.
Meko can't close that distance either. He's really struggling to pressure him because the rotations are better for the Justice.
I mean, they're basically just cutting them in half at this point. Ingod in the corner trying to keep everybody alive. He'll be able to survive here. Great peel coming through. Boat finishing off hydration before he can get onto the Ana, and just like that, Houston Outlaws going to be losing control of this cart again. This
is what I'm talking about. Justice will hit you from every angle. They'll drop down behind you. They'll have half the team at the front lines. The supports are even the ones dropping behind. You see time and time again, Aim God's trying to get that big bio grenade from behind. He's successful. The Outlaws still can't close the gap through this gate yet. They have the Blizzard. They still have that ult advantage they've been holding for so long, but it's much less now than it used to be.
Freeze going to be forced out. Blizzard now going to be coming through from both of these maze. Sound barriers there from Jexay to try to keep everybody alive, but hydration will not be able to survive. The lone member on the side of Houston that did get frozen. Finish him off. Now Meko going to be locked up as well as they try to finish him off. Sound barrier comes out from Arc, rescuing Roy as he's a bit too deep into enemy territory. Nano will be tossed in. They try to keep him alive. Shatter comes through, bomb into the back, but Corey is just clicking heads. But with the hammer, does manage to swing his way to 2 kills, getting rid of Arc and Boat. Corey left on, hounded down by Jexay, looks for the shot, finds the body tag, but he cannot finish him off. Jexay finally alleviates all of that pressure. Houston, can they get the cart moving? I think the answer is finally going to be yes if they can just finish off Stratus.
It's losing so much time here though, and the ult trade is still better for the Justice. It's a big issue. It's a serious problem when your Lucio player is the one who's dealing with the Widow. Jexay finally gets that heroic kill on main support, but the whole map is still open. Justice can now go for one big contest here to straight up win the map and head into match point. They can look for a Shatter engage. They've got all the cards in their hand, and Houston need a miracle.
Good positioning, at least trying to play up against the Justice while the cart gets escorted forward by Meko.
All the vision with Corey's ult being popped here. They know everything.
Going to be contested for now. They have to make their way over to B. The wall comes up. Muma cut off. Nanabu's tossed in onto Roarin already. Enemy Ryan is going to be taken down now. Meko melted out of that suit. Roar just swinging away to success. Manages to find the kill. Gets the pin on the hydration out of nowhere. And that will be in. Shatter in celebration. Washington Justice move up 2-0. Now just one map away from taking the first series of the day here in Philadelphia.
It's a one-sided affair. The Justice is walking all over the Houston Outlaws, punishing Muma's positioning as aggressive charges. We're seeing so many flanks. We're seeing them rip the Outlaws apart, surrounding them. We're seeing flanks some supports. And only Jexay has been able to take out Corey. A disaster for the Outlaws.
Really rough stuff now. Need a reverse sweep if they want to take this set. Starting 0-2 on the season.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Washington Justice came up short yesterday, but they're looking good right now. However, we're only 2 maps in. And of course, the big question is, can the Outlaws turn it around in the second half? So let's get right into it. Wow, hard.
That was very negative.
Well, it is time for a game break presented by Cheez-It Grooves. Guys, let's talk about what we just saw. Honestly, looking at the Justice, yesterday was not a fluke. Their positioning, their cohesion, everything just looks spot on for that team right now.
Yeah, I really like what we're seeing from Washington Justice right now. It's not only the compositions that they're playing well. I think just the way they're dictating the tempo of the fights, the understanding of the game, it just shows that the coaching staff is doing a lot of good work for Washington Justice, and there are a lot of smart players on this team. So very impressed by Washington Justice's ability to take good engages and disengages and just overall outplay the Houston Outlaws.
Yeah, I think from Houston, you're seeing them play more meta, so we're seeing a more head-on-head matchup. But Washington are just playing so clean. You're seeing them take these fights. They're using their ults better. They're being efficient with everything. And then on top of that, you have Corey just popping. He's switching to the Widow, the McCree. And it's just, Houston don't really have an answer to it. I like what I'm seeing more from Houston, but I don't know.
I think the strategies are nicer from Houston. There's been adjustments, and the roster picks are really good. But overall, I think at the end of the day, you still need guys to shoot people, right? And I'm just feeling very blasé on blasé. I'm indifferent. I'm unimpressed. And here's the worrying thing I mentioned. I think that Houston has a culture where they end up playing favorites, and they just want a guy, and they will stick with somebody way too long. And I'm worried that it's happening. Blasé's not playing really well, and I think you need someone to come in and play a Widow or a Tracer to do something about Corey. Something has to do something.
I feel bad for the Outlaws, man.
I mean,
I like Justice.
Do you guys, where do you guys want to see the focus from the Outlaws here? Because Corey and Stratos both got away with murder. They went pretty much uncontested on map 1 to kind of the same scenario. Is this where the Outlaws really need to focus on?
I think you have to credit the Washington Justice tanks. They're creating so much space. I think they're outplaying the Houston Outlaw tanks far and away, and that's just giving Stratos and Corey so much space, and they're just running with it. And you just see Corey's numbers and just getting free picks left and right.
Honestly, it's just outplayed across the board, really, because I look at what Stratos is doing on the May, and I think he has some great ice walls and blizzards as well that helps his team take better engages, right? Because if you're a RAR on Reinhardt in this case, you trust your mate with great ice walls and set you up for success. So I think overall, Washington Justice are just really impressive as a whole team.
Okay, just outplayed.
Yeah.
Sometimes it be like that. Like, that's just how it goes.
It really do.
It really do. Now, guys, once more, it is crunch time.
Crunch time.
So, Reinforce, you got a great clip which will highlight something you already mentioned, and that is the way Washington Justice are dictating the tempo of the fights.
So I love what I'm seeing here, and we can maybe play the clip twice to just highlight how good it is.
Right.
I think that Washington Justice, they're really just controlling the fight so well. We're going to see a self-destruct coming up from Elevo. And this is towards the end of map 1 on Lijiang Tower. And Houston Outlaws, they're just under so much pressure the entire time that they really can't find a good engage and really can't find an advantage. Washington Justice, they have so much control in these fights. So 85%, Corey throws out the high noon, okay? Outlaws, they have to hide. They can't really do anything. Later on, 90%, okay, Outlaws, you have to touch the point. So Muma, he goes up. He has a bit of a broken shield. There comes Elevote with the self-destructs, going to break the shield of Muma. And he has to touch a point, right? But he really can't find an opening here to get a good fight. And I think that just speaks to Washington Justice level when it comes to taking good fights and setting themselves up for success. So across the board, I think that Washington are just playing way smarter. And Outlaws, they really can't find an opening at all to win any fight.
You see zoning bombs a lot, but that's shield cracking bomb. That's really cool.
No, it's great.
That's great.
I love it. Well, I actually hate it because I'm a Reinhardt player, but I love it.
My whole thing with Houston just feels like they have to use all their resources defensively, while Washington just seems to be using them whenever they want. They're using them to engage. It's giving Roar and Elevo so much space. So Houston need to find a way to get control of these mid-fights and control of their team, because at the moment it feels like Washington's just doing whatever they want.
The Symmetra worked for them early on. Like, they were proactive there, but the rest of it's all reactive.
Now, real quick, we're about to head into the second half of that. Kingstar is coming up next. Guys, any last thoughts? What we're going to see from those teams?
You can play Symmetra on Kingstar, right?
Yeah, just play Symmetra. Just play Symmetra. Problem solved.
Just play Symmetra. Problem solved.
I'm looking for the glimmer of hope that Houston had.
We're analyzing those games. Now, let's return to the action over in the Met in Philadelphia, and then we'll be back after the match for Watchpoint Reset. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are about halfway, a little over halfway, I suppose, through our series here, the first one of the day. Washington Justice currently 2-0 over the Houston Outlaws, who now need to engineer a reverse sweep if they want to find a victory, start off their season with a 1-1 record.
Yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of reports of a sickness that Linkser might have, an illness that may be why he's not showing up to play here, but you can certainly feel his absence here on the field when you've got Blase struggling on McCree. He's not able to match long distance, obviously, versus Corey's Widow on a very open map like Junkertown, where it's almost a must-pick hero. And, I mean, you start to wonder, is there any hope for the Houston Outlaws right now when the Washington Justice look coordinated? Their flanks are good, their rotations are good, their surrounds even oftentimes of the Houston Outlaws, splitting them in half, punishing Muma. I mean, it just doesn't look like the Outlaws have a chance here to turn this one around.
No, it does not look good. Wolf, you guys can hear Wolf here in the house, but it's all right. He was saying a lot of great analytical points, and just trust me on that. No nonsense. He also said that he loves Philadelphia.
I do.
So, yeah, this is looking really rough for the Houston Outlaws. I mean, back-to-back 0-3 starts in your season is not how you want to do it.
No, it's certainly not, and it happens to a lot of teams, it's not just the Houston Outlaws we might see going into the end of their second match, going 0-6, but it's unfortunate the Houston Outlaws had such a tough loss yesterday where they looked dominated, not as dominated, honestly, as they look today, and then to go into a match the next day, have that same mentality of, wow, we just got stomped, let's turn things around, and then lose that first map a little bit closer, go into a second map where you just got obliterated. It wasn't even close. Right now, the eliminations is, I mean, last time I checked, it was something like 100-16 for Justice to the Outlaws here. We do have Rappel subbing back in for Raucus.
Yep. So we'll be getting a bit more stage time here in this second series. We'll see if that's going to be enough. Looks like he found a hair on his keyboard or something. But we'll see if that's going to be enough for them to turn this around. I mean, let's try to pick up a map win as we get ready to move into Kings Row.
Kings Row will be the map. Let's talk about these Koreans on the roster for the Houston Outlaws. The first time they've committed to a mixed roster fully, with the exception of Arhan, obviously. Meko, considered one of the best flex tanks in the world from the New York Excelsior. Rappel coming from Vancouver before that. Obviously spent a lot of time on Element Mystic in Korea. Top tier player. Obviously Jexai comes from that same background as well. Played for the Dynasty. These three Koreans have an insanely stacked background. They have had extreme success leading into this moment where they're playing for one of the weaker teams coming into 2020. And there's so much pressure on them now to communicate with these Western players we know are talented, we know have had their moments, but it's not happening so far this weekend. There's got to be a huge disconnect. Morale's got to be an all-time low. We're going into Blase's McCree here once again, dueling with Corey. It's a mirror, no double shields on the side of the Outlaws. Not going to copy what we saw yesterday from Philly.
I'm not going to be starting with a Widowmaker either for Corey. Thought maybe he would go for that quick hot shot as the door is open, but instead goes straight out with the squad on that McCree. As he said, mirrored as they do meet here at the base of the statue. Fire strikes going through, but no one really connecting. Boost up there onto Stratus. Playing the high ground for now, it would seem. Wall comes up, they're looking for the pin. Hardcore goes through, but it's going to be Hydration. Beating that one with the ice block, but now has that down in his bio-native. So Corey loops the kill, but Stratus will be taken down. So good Hulk coming in already.
Yeah, it's a great start here for the Outlaws. They've got full control now, and it's going to be the Washington Justice who have the faster respawns, but still 4 on the point right now. They've got to be careful about chasing Elevote here, but they will be able to get back. It's Lucio going to be able to taxi back Hydration to the point, even in terms of that Blizzard charge right now.
Making their way through. So far, solid firm start. It's 1 minute gone. How much longer they've got in them. Deadeye just now becoming available. The Nano Boost going to be ready as well. Bionade has to be used by Rappel as he goes under fire. Doesn't want to have to rely on the slow, steady healing of Jexen. Get walled off. It's going to be Nano for Nano onto the Reinhardts up here into the front line. Sleep Dart connects. Muma going for a charge. Boops over the side. Connects in with the wall. Final cutoff was still there for the side of the Houston Outlaws, but everybody gets regrouped. Meko's got a sliver of HP.
Huge
pick Mega back on the team, but Stratus, finds the headshot there with the Icicle on Hydration. That's just moments before he gets the Blizzard online. So already, Justice gonna start ticking up. Second coming through. Wall comes in, they've got one means of approach as Muma starts pushing forward. There's so many members on top of him. The Shatter comes down. He manages to catch two. And Meko eats the Blizzard. But can they turn this on its head? Corey's got the high ground, just taking pot shots. Jexay dead in midair. Gets the headshot on the Meko as well. Beautiful stuff from Corey. And the point is secured 4 minutes, 20 seconds in the time bank for the Justice.
It's twisted irony too, Achilles, so that was perhaps Muma's best and most successful Shatter of the series. It's just so late. And despite hitting multiple members of the Justice, they had no control. Take a look at Corey here. He whips around the high ground. Look at Muma. He hits the Shatter here just as it comes online. It doesn't matter, though, because the follow-up damage is negated by Corey popping off, taking Blase out of the equation, and taking Muma with him. I mean, it's just absolute domination we're seeing here right now for the Justice again.
Gorgeous start here as Blase is now up to the high ground. Gonna be Sound Barrier coming through from both sides. Ellie Boat using the self-destruct, trying to find some picks, and it's gonna be a triple kill. Muma, Blase, and Hydration all falling at the hands of the Diva, and that is just gonna be the extended cleanup, the extended team wipe. The Justice will start steamrolling their way through the Streets phase.
I mean, they just had the ult advantage there. They committed a lot of resources to push through the Streets phase, as you mentioned, but if they get around this corner, it becomes a lot more difficult for the Outlaws to contest. The positioning here for the DPS lineup, Stratus and Corey way out in front because they want to get a stray pick on the Blase. If they can knock him out, that's all it's going to take. Outlaws only get one chance at this one Blizzard fight, and it's going to have to be a good one.
That it does. See what they can engineer. Blizzard going to be coming through from both of these mains. Corey already taken out of the equation, so really good boon for the side of the Houston Outlaws to try to stop this card just inches in front, essentially, of point B. 2.63 meters, to be exact. But Ellie Vote will get knocked out, and that will be the stop of the push for the Washington Justice. So we'll have to re-approach here for themselves. 2.5 minutes, however, so certainly doable. But Ellie Vote,
I mean, that's the fight they needed, right? That's the fight you've got to take on B. You have to commit your resources. You have to make sure that fight is the good one, because from then on, you can actually take control of this main approach angle. You can control these sightlines. Corey is playing extremely greedy right now. They do push him back, and now the Justice's approach finally is actually, for the first time, really difficult against the Outlaws' fortified position. Look at where Blase is standing. He's got the backup of Meko. It's so difficult to flank him, and if anyone just steps across the line, so much damage is going to come out here. There's the chase from Ellieboat. He's trying to dive him, though.
Yep, peeling their way back. Balls coming up. Everybody going to be low. Muma frozen from behind, 27 HP. They need to heal him, but it's just not going to be in time. Deadeye comes through, the wall comes up, doesn't find anything except the fire strike to the face. So it does get eliminated. Corey with the Deadeye of his own, just going to be sitting in the back, tries to get the shot. Will weaken Meko. They will be able to knock him out in the end, get the kills, get the finish, and that will be the push through onto B.
Yep, that's going to be the grab here, and now for the Outlaws, we see the Blase swap over to Hanzo. To get up onto this high ground that you see at the center of your screen is going to be so difficult, though, because look at where Ellieboat already is. He checks this high ground, he's up there on top. He's not going to be able to wall climb up there, not without a lot of support. And Jexay is going to have to help out even, and I just don't see that happen. You can see Jexay just to the right of your screen. Ellieboat's going to try to nudge this bomb. It looks like he's not even just looking for control. He wants more.
I think they just now noticed that he was sitting up top there.
And Arc controls the other side, you know? Meko can't stay there.
Ellieboat's going to be dropping down straight on top of their scopes. That D matrix up to try to keep everybody protected. Stratus and Roar, however, will fall under the pressure. Gets her two back, however. So support in a main take for a support in a May. Or taking a May. Now Barrier comes in. Arc still feeling like they can press this fight. Blase completely surrounded. Will be taken down as Arc starts doing some serious work.
And now look at where Corey is.
Coming out.
He's got a perfect angle here on both approach angles there for the Outlaws. They're caught way out.
Yeah, he will go ahead and
it's just
back
rolling through.
As he expects for Blase to be respawning. Now gets the line onto the Hanzo, trying to find the shot. Muma in the meantime, gonna have to deal with this nanoed up Ryan of Roar. And guy's gonna be taken down. Muma finds that kill. Something from Ellieboat will be able to answer back onto the Ana. But Hydration very much makes the fight happen in favor of the Houston Outlaws.
It's a big blizzard. It's a big blizzard. It sets them up. They don't use the Shatter Bomb combo that they have online. And they'll again get control of this corner. This is, for the first time, looking a little bit dire for Justice in terms of completing the map. They don't have great tools
to finish this one out. Corey has the ability to get excellent sight lines. He is going to pop that visor right now, but he doesn't have good line of sight regardless of where the supports are hiding. He's going to have to try to break through the center here, but even that is risky with Meko being able to knock him off at a moment's notice.
Right now, Meko has his work cut out for him. The Dragon Strike rolling through. Don't quite see it, however. Tossed out. Hell just waiting with the nano boost ready to save somebody if need be. Showing some restraint. Knows that he doesn't have to burn it there for hydration. The wrap around the backside at the moment. Repel gonna get jumped on. Has the sleep dart, but doesn't get the chance to use it. Knew that the D-Matrix was gonna be able to eat that one, but a nice pin from behind helps take down Roar. So another all-out brawl coming through as we're at 30 seconds. Elivote gets rid of hydration. And Washington Justice, it seems like they might just have to try to make this one happen right now. Shatter comes down, the wall goes through.
Angle.
Protect Elivote. Self-destruct from Meko, unable to find anything. Blizzard just now becoming available for Stratus as Corey comes back with the Tracer.
This is going to have to be a really, really complicated flank here from Corey. He's going to have to get a pick, and maybe they'll get this shot, but he needs that kill to set up the Blizzard.
Numerous ultimates available for the Washington Justice, but they're going to have to try to make this happen.
It's early.
In OT, the Blizzard does come down, does not get eaten, but there's nobody inside of it outside of Blase. They try to keep him alive, but Elivo just runs him over. Jekse finds the kill on the Corey, and Repel's going to be bionated, trying to stay alive with that Ana. So far, he'll be able to do so as they send hydration off the side of the map. Echo up top does not have the self-destruct, no way to remech. Will just get knocked out straight away here on top of that cart as Muba is a bit far away. Gets zoned back as the Doomfist comes in for Blase. Drops in, but the freeze comes through, slows him up, and they will be able to take him down. It seems like it's going to be the case as well for this Wrecking Ball. He just cannot last on that cart for very long. 4.32 meters left to go. No one contesting. They get it again. 2.36. Now hydration going to be gone. Get the kill. They get rid of Jekse. Mid-sound barrier. Deny the shielding for the Lucio. And now they're under a meter left to go. That go down to half. The Wrecking Ball desperately spinning around, but Elivo just sits comfortably directly on top. Self-destruct comes through, gets rid of Muma. They will glide through.
Very, very close call there for the Houston Outlaws in terms of that defense. They failed to get it, and that's after the big Stratus Blizzard comes through. They have to step away and split into two groups, and that's when you see two major environmental kills come through for the Washington Justice, and it's just all clean up from there. It's an overtime finish, but it's a finish nonetheless.
Yep, one half gone. Houston Outlaws got to go to the distance. We'll see if they're able to do so in the second half of Kings Row.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
Yeah, that's right. Both of these teams have homestands coming up. This time it's time to talk about the Washington Justice. Their DC home games are going to be coming up next weekend, the 22nd and 23rd. So make sure you guys, if you can't be there in person, that you tune in on youtube.com/Overwatch League. Because they're looking pretty good right now.
It's where you are right now, whether you're watching live or you're watching a video of this stream. Hit that sub button. Make it easier for you to follow the action.
Yo, bro, smash that sub button.
So,
like it.
With the completion of the map here for the Washington Justice, there's a potential loss condition here for Houston Outlaws. I mean, it is certainly, we're in dire straits. This is not by any means a map that you look at for the Outlaws and say, well, I think they've got this, You don't look at and say, well, they brought it to an overtime finish. It feels good for the Outlaws. You're really worried because you know that Corey has just been dominating. They've been out-positioning. Their ult timings are better, and they've looked much more coordinated. And I'm not trying to make the Outlaws fans sad here. I just have to say the honest truth. It's going to be a mirror once again. No one running that double shield that we saw yesterday.
Pushing up through the theater so far. Little drop down, so there's going to be big route around the back side right now. Elivote looking to force them off this high ground. Doesn't manage to do so. Decent amount of damage done though.
Yeah, you see the flank war between the McCrees happening elsewhere. No kills just yet, but the Outlaws do get into a pretty favorable position here on the high ground. Elivote going to try to collapse him, but he's late. This is essentially a 6v5.
Yep, Sleep coming through. Elivote very exposed, flying away to the back of Blase. Drops down, has that Bionade extra healing coming through, so we'll be able to stay in the mech at least for now, but still is in dire straits. So has to play this one very carefully. Flashbang. Corey comes to his rescue, rolls up to get the reload. Very aggressive play there on a Blase, forces the Nano from Repel onto the Cowboy. Now Roar going lower and lower. A nice sleep dart will connect from Aim God, helping to alleviate some of that pressure. Roar is able to swing to get rid of Muma. Get the cleanup. Still very close to breaking through on that push for the Houston Outlaws, but they're gonna have to try again.
Aim God with a huge bio grenade there as well, preventing the Outlaws from being healed up. They had the faster runbacks. If that fight went longer, they might have been able to break through. And again, it's Jexai who's chasing down Corey, almost able to get that kill. It's just so rough for the Outlaws right now. They're unable to close that gap. They're going to go for that push here on the high ground once again. Elivote almost cost them the defense because he's playing so far forward. He's going to play a lot safer this time, stay on the low ground, and not look for that crazy flank. Stratus has Blizzard, and if you're going to take the fight in the choke here as the Outlaws, you've got to be aware of it.
Corey, though, sneaking around the back.
Jexai checking for him, it looks like, but
he's going to be looking for that Deadeye setup. Perhaps Blizzard comes down from Stratus. Muma already frozen. The Deadeye will manage to find Jexai, so he found him. But unfortunately, it was staring down the barrel of the gun. Nice headshot there. Will pop Meko out, and they will just leave him to potentially be forced to swap and lose whatever ult charge he may have garnered for himself.
It's really ult efficient defense here for the Washington Justice, only really committing those two from the DPS side. Elivote should be able to get his mech back in a longer fight. Blase is out there, though. He wants a big kill here, and he might get it.
We're looking for Aim God, piling it on top of him. Jexai managed to find it. Roar gets pinned to the wall. Very nice collapse from the Houston Outlaws, and that nets them a tick. The minute and 15 seconds remaining. Arc has that sound barrier, but with Stratus going down, and now him falling. I was going to say, I guess that would be the abandon on the attempted defense. So Houston Outlaws will be able to cap point A 3.5 minutes, just about, as they get started in the street space.
And it's finally aggressive coordination you see from the Outlaws. They move together, they punish the positioning there of the Outlaws. The Outlaws often, or the Justice, they often split, right? They often try to go for these surrounds, and the Outlaws just collapsed in on top of Aim God. And they hold 6 ultimates after capping A. They won that fight ultless out of a good rotation. Justice themselves are coming close to 6 ultimates, but advantage Outlaws in terms of that right now. Deadeye first here for Blase.
Flashbang not going to get anything. Really good attack here from Meko, trying to handle Corey, trying to take him down. Down barrier going to be dropped from both of these Lucios. Deadeye going to be channeled just to get the reload here, but Corey will still fall as he gets frozen. And that'll just be a cleanup fight for the Houston Outlaws. Breaking down that May wall, getting rid of the Diva, and the cart can continue to advance. Which is very good. Houston needs a fast pace
And
if they want to clear through this.
You start to feel like the Outlaws have figured out what the Justice are doing. They're splitting into often 2 groups, sometimes 3. Elevote's off on the side, and the Outlaws are taking 6v3 fights, 6v4 fights. When you see these flanks happen, take a look at this charge again from Muma. He sets up the shadow right when the shield drops. He gets the charge kill here after the nano boost.
Yeah, great read. Ill-timed for Roar. Bombs and Chips passing in the night. Going to the back. Outlaws not able to find anything. Meko still will pistol down Arc, however, so a support for a support, but the Washington Justice coming out on top on the back end of those self-destructs. They will be able to halt the cart. Still 2 minutes here for the side of the Houston Outlaws, so odds are they will be able to move through into B, but remember, if they finish below a minute, that's going to grant a minute over to the side of the Washington Justice.
Now, just like we saw with the Houston Outlaws when they had that defensive point on B, they're going to keep Corey on the left side, but it's not actually with Elevote. We saw Meko and Blase stay to the left here. It's actually going to be the support line that tries to prevent a D.Va from coming up. Corey's actually going to slide back down into the center here as the Outlaws try to decide how they approach. They're going through that middle high ground, but that just gives the Washington Justice so much time to back off and prepare. The Outlaws don't have ults, so they have to kind of slow push this, but that costs them majorly in terms of time bank.
Have one now. The shatter there from Muma. Just saw his replay. Corey wrapping around the back with the dead eye, trying to find a target. He's not able to do so, but he's still sticking into that back line and just be able to find one of the supports, taking some shots at Repel. He forced out the Bionade. Yes, he has. Deadeye now coming through from Blase. They won't peek him, and Elevote straight up in front. Sleep Dart connects. They lock him down now. Muma gonna fall, doesn't get the chance to use the shatter and the pin from Roar. Manages to find the McCree.
And all of that, Roar gets a double shatter there to lead into all of this. And Washington Justice, despite a really nice rotation around the back there during Corey's Deadeye, they find themselves exposed. Muma's unable to block Roar's shatter. The double shatter there just opens everything up. And now it's 30 seconds to go here for the Houston Outlaws. You almost wonder, is it better for Blase? He doesn't have an ult here. He's not finding success in the McCree. Maybe go back to something like a Doomfist here. It's risky. It's not what you want in this meta, but desperate times call for desperate measures. They have the ult advantage, but positionally, Justice have full control, and they've got a Blizzard.
Coming down, Cart again inching forward. 12 seconds remaining for the Houston Outlaws. They shatter a Blizzard, a Nano Boost, and nearly a Sound Barrier is their arsenal. First Blizzard, however, going to come out from Stratus. Self-destruct over on the side from Elevote, but it cannot remech. Jexay doing some serious work. Cracking skulls. He cracks another one. Takes down Roar for the triple kill, and the Outlaws glide on through to B.
And Jexay is having a great performance here on the Lucio. Only 2,500 damage behind right now. Hydration on May is actually doing quite well for himself. Taking a look at this once again, Jexay in the back lines, drops down that speed boost and then comes in and helps finish off Elevote. So he cannot remech and takes out Stratus. It's a pretty one fight. He kind of steals his way through this.
Cleanups.
He's had a great series. He really has. He's been the one to deal with Corey a lot of the time. But again, Justice here. Look at the positioning of Stratus. He's going to poke from behind.
Look how far the Houston Outlaws made it already just while that replay was rolling. Cart rolled up just in front of the victory box. 42 seconds left. Muma under pressure. Throws in, and the Deadeye gets set up for the kill. Shield's going to be dwindling now on the side of the Houston Outlaws. Arc still holding on to his sound barrier. 30 seconds remaining. Outlaws have to pull back.
That was close.
Casualties.
If Corey killed even one more member, they would not have been able to get another 6v6 fight. It wouldn't have happened. They do escape. They can get that one final fight now.
Nano's out, walls come up. Self-destruct gonna be tossed in. Roar on the ground. Deadeye from Blase manages to find 2. Bionade answers back, however. Blase will be taken down, and Meko's eliminated as well. On the card right now, Stratus trying to hold it down. Muma applying pressure, swinging like a madman as best as he can, but he gets flashbanged, he gets taken down, and now it's all on hydration. They push him to the side, they finish him off with a pile driver. Somebody's got a tag, but I don't know if they can make it. It's Meko trying, but they can't get there. And the Washington Justice with a hold on Kings Row take the series 3-0.
Finally, Houston put up a fight on the final map, but at the end of the day, domination here on the side of Washington Justice will help move forward in the standings with a 3-0 win. That's the points you want to take against the Outlaws. The DPS duo looking like they've got as much chemistry as they did at the end of last season. Smiles across the board here on the Justice. And for the Outlaws, it's another loss. It's another 0-3.
With their homestand just around the corner, some changes need to happen. They might find themselves facing a very uphill battle already at the beginning of a very long season.
A rough weekend to start off the 2020 season with, but there's plenty of weekends left to be had, including, as you said, their own homestand coming up just about 2 weeks from now. So we'll see how the Outlaws can improve and perform throughout the remainder of this season. There's a lot of talent on that roster, and I'm sure that they'll be able to find their groove, but for now, the Justice are victorious. So let's go ahead and throw down to Golden Boy, who's standing by with the DPS duo in the city of brotherly love.
All right, so technically this was supposed to be an interview with just Corey, but you know, this boss just wanted to interject, so I had to let him happen. Anyway, how you feeling, man? How's it feel playing in front of this crowd?
Feels really good. You know, after all the booze yesterday, I was a little sad, a little upset.
Let the boy live. Let the boy live. Corey, so it's my understanding you're actually you're close by from here. You're from Philly or around Philly, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, what part of Philly so these people know?
I live literally right outside of Philly. I'm like from Newtown Square, like Ben Salem, pretty much. So.
And these people booed you so much yesterday. How'd it feel though, being an actual hometown guy getting booed by your hometown crowd?
It's kind of sad, not gonna lie. But I mean, we put out the dub today, so we make up for it.
Yeah, speaking of the dub, I mean, you guys have been playing fantastic Overwatch, and also your homestand's going to be coming up pretty soon, so I'm sure you guys are pumped for it. How do you feel that this meta right now is really playing into, most importantly, both of you, get closer to me, goddamn. Okay, how do you feel this meta is really playing into both of your guys' hands at this point in time?
I'm not a May 1 trick, but I also am at the same time, so it kind of works out that way.
If you keep saying it multiple times, people will eventually believe you. That's true. And then, and Corey, you're busting out the Widow, the Kree. You're having a good time with it. Do you feel comfortable going into this season?
Definitely, for sure. I mean, I get to play all the hit scan players that are characters that I want to play, and Stratus is a May 1 trick. So.
All right. Lastly, you know, hey, just parting words for these wonderful people here in Philadelphia, Strat. Come on.
Listen, real talk. All right, real talk.
Real talk.
I love all of you. You guys are amazing.
Look at that. We can be friends after all. Isn't that wonderful, guys? Give it up for Stratus and Corey of the Washington Justice. Congratulations on your win. Casters, back to you.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy. Thank you, Stratus and Corey, for always very much entertaining us. That is a duo that I never want to see split up. Those guys are fantastic.
Yeah,
and, you know, congrats to Corey for winning in front of the hometown crowd.
Very wholesome Coca-Cola victory moment there. And we get to see the brotherly love between these two players. And, I mean, it's one of my favorite stories of the end of last season is how they kind of succeeded together at the very end.
Yeah.
And we all wondered, how far can Justice go going into 2020? And it's a good start thus far.
Well, we are not done seeing Corey because, as it turns out, he might very well just be the player of the match. We'll go ahead and throw it up. I'm giving you guys the spoilers, but I'm very excited for him. I know he was disappointed after the loss yesterday, but still gets the win in front of the hometown crowd, even if he's not a part of the fusion.
That's right, yep. Philly boy here, and I mean, look, Corey had so many great moments throughout this weekend, not just today, but across multiple heroes, and he's the flanker that split Outlaws apart and yesterday gave Philadelphia Fusion so much trouble. This guy is a role star, and he's one of the best hit scan players coming out of the West, and he might find himself being a top 3 DPS throughout this season if the track record continues and the meta goes his way. Do not sleep on this man, and do not sleep on the Washington Justice. This is not the 2019 Justice we all just watched. This is a new team.
I mean, averaging over a kill a minute there, and the 10-minute metric as well as 1,000 damage. So extremely good performance from Corey on that McCree, as well as all of the other heroes that we did see him play. You know, the Widow, the Tracer, albeit not for nearly as long, but that was just the first match of the day. We've got another one coming.
We got the big one.
Do you remember who's playing that one? It's the Florida Mayhem and
Philadelphia Fusion.
And the Philadelphia Fusion. That's going to be coming up in just a little bit. So make sure you guys stay tuned because you do not want to miss it. I know this crowd's going to go wild over it all over again, just like we saw yesterday.